So I'm Eva Rhule. I'm a junior. I'm from Martinsburg, Pennsylvania, which is like right outside of Altoona, and I'm a telecommunications major. I actually want to go to law school. I'm really interested in like telecommunications law, so I want to go to law school and then get a job, maybe working for like a company, in their legal department or something like the FCC or something like that. I mean, I just think it's really interesting, especially things like net neutrality or like privacy issues and things like that. Like, it's things that nobody really thinks about and no one really understands how serious it is. Like, I tell my friends about it and they're like, whoa, like that's really like weird. I didn't know that like companies could do that with your data or things like that. So I just think it's really interesting and I really want to like learn more about it. And maybe even be involved in writing some of the policies that are going to be written in the next 10, 20 years. I really came into college not 100% knowing where I wanted to go with like my undergrad degree. I knew I wanted to go to law school, but I knew I was interested in communications and I just kind of was like, oh, like I'll figure it out. And then I actually was starting to talk to some advisors whenever I was accepted to Penn State. And they were like, oh, like, have you looked into the telecommunications major? And I was like, no, like, what's that? And they were like telling me about it. And I was like, oh, okay, like that sounds cool. And they're like, yeah, like if you do that, there's a lot of law classes that you can take. I'm like, all right. So I just kind of like, made myself a telecommunications major and like started taking the classes. And I was like, oh wow, like this is really interesting. So like I've taken 2 law classes at this point that I've just really liked. So now I've like really like evolved what I know that I want to do now. Yeah, it's definitely different because I kind of was like a little bit lost at first. I didn't know what kinds of things I should get involved in that would help me be in like telecommunications law in the future. So I've kind of like split it in half. Like I have my telecom things and my law things. So like I'm in a telecom club, which has been really cool, like talking with other people in the industry and things like that. But then I also do a mock trial, which is like we compete against other schools with like fake court cases. So it's not exactly like telecom law, but it's still like, really interesting, like really getting to know like different laws and like how the courtroom and like the legal system works, which is really cool. But another thing I do is I'm a TA for a couple classes. So the one that I was for this semester was actually law of mass communication. So that was really cool because I got to have a little bit of a more in-depth understanding of communications law. And with that, like I had to write a research paper to get my teaching assistant credit. And like whenever I wrote that paper, I was like, oh, like this is really cool. Like I'm really like learning more about something that's really like interesting to me and I'm really passionate about that I wouldn't have had with just like taking, general telecommunications classes. I read the emails that I got all the time. I got all these emails about internships to apply for or like speakers that were coming in. And like I went to a couple of those like speaker events talking about things that they were doing with their lives. I made the initiative to like set up meetings with my advisor all the time, with the career advisors too, and like they led me to all of these really cool opportunities that I've had. But if I hadn't taken that initiative to set up those meetings or to read those emails, I probably wouldn't have had the opportunities that I did.